Hi, everyone. This is Coach Jackie Zach, and I'm excited to have with me Erica Conway from C2 with us today. You know, driven by relationships and the sincere belief that each individual has a unique and genuine value, Erica has spent her career helping individuals articulate and present that value to a potential employers via C2 and her newest endeavor, Talimer. She prioritizes inclusion, diversity, equity, and access to the core of both businesses. Erica spent her formative years of her career in higher education, serving as a residence life professional at Michigan State University, Eastern Washington University, and Indiana State University. Upon her return to Wisconsin, she found herself working with her brother James at Mac Pros, a staffing and training firm for creatives. In 2004, they partnered to purchase the company, renaming it C2. So after seeing thousands of resumes over the course of her 20 years in the staffing industry, Erica developed a cake and frosting framework, which assists C2 talent in better articulating their full value and support their quest to find the right step in their career. She's now leveraging that frame Talimer and a revolutionary tech and creative talent marketplace that flips the script on the traditional model by putting freelancers first. I love it. Offering them access to benefits, business tools to support their freelance efforts, which ultimately what they can provide to the businesses that need them. My guest has also just recently relocated to Colorado. So she's going to be half in Colorado, half in Wisconsin. In her downtime, she enjoys walking, biking, and relaxing. And what a better place to do all of that than Colorado. She is most proud of the ability to work with people to fully articulate their value as they're looking for the job that is perfect for them. So welcome, Erica. I'm so glad to have you with us today.
Thank you, Jackie.
Tell us a little bit about your personal story. I know you mentioned that you started with your brother. So tell us a little bit more about all of that.
Yes. So as a testimony to lifelong relationships, my brother had a great roommate named Ken Osterman. Eventually, Ken decided to date a woman named Yvonne, and Yvonne had a company called Mac Pros. She eventually hired my brother. I got to know her just via getting to know Ken as a former roommate and his girlfriend. And then she hired me. And then she had her third baby and decided she was done with the business. So my brother and I purchased it. Fast forward about 16 years, I see what's happening with Upwork and Fiverr. And I'm like, oh, that's a really interesting concept. And I thought, I feel like we could do it better. We're already allowing our talent at C2 to have benefits, paid time off, and the things that will keep them in a job long term, even though they're contractors. I bet you we could do something like that. And so I went back to my friend Ken, who is married to my former employer whose company I bought. And I said to Ken, you're a buyer of talent. Would you be interested? And he said, I'm at Harley. I am just overwhelmed, too busy to even have coffee, but it sounds like a great idea. And when I get some time, we can talk about it. Fast forward, there were some changes at Harley Davidson. He had more time on his hands, and Talimer was born in January of 2020. We had potential to pitch for some money, but as you know, come about March 2020, that changed. But we had pulled together a team that was so excited about the concept. Several of them had been involved in C2 over the years, either as clients or as friends of the business or even as talent. So we just bootstrapped, and we just celebrated 4 years with Talimer and 20 years of C2.
Congratulations. Huge milestones. So I'm very excited as we go on for you to share some of your knowledge as a business owner. So what's a funny story your family tells about you that you'd be willing to share?
Oh, well, coincidentally enough, this morning I woke up with an earache, and I didn't know why. And I said so I'm staying with my parents up north right now, working from here. And I said to my mom, I have an earache. And I was like, I don't know why. And it's kind of sharp. Maybe I have like a bug bite or something in my ear. And I had her look, and she's like, you and she said earache, which, so when I was a kid, I had earaches all the time. And she was like, I'm having a flashback. You need to go to urgent care. So I ended up, but she was calling me my nickname, Erica, instead of Erica. So
How cute is
that's,
that?
well, it wasn't cute at the time when I was little and having, tubes in my ears all the time, but it was funny today.
Yes, I bet. And assume everything is okay.
Everything's fine. Doctor said, I think, you have a bug bite, maybe. We're not really sure, but keep your eye on it. I'm like, okay. So,
Great. Great.
yeah.
That makes me so happy. So tell us a story about how your business came about. You told us a little bit in the intro. And what point did you have the confidence that you could run your own business?
Well, I'm not sure I have that confidence yet, but here I am after 20
Mhm.
years and four. Um, you know, I just had some really good role models and some fantastic partners and some terrific staff. Like, you can't do it alone. And my brother is brilliant. He was a great business partner in terms of what he brought to clients. I had some innovative ideas that I thought, but I gathered a posse of super smart people around me, and that is really what has led me to where I am today, in
Perfect.
every aspect.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit more about, you were talking about your cake and frosting approach. So tell us a little bit more about your C2 and Talimer.
So C2 is a pretty typical creative staffing firm, meaning we focus on creative talent. That's web, that's marketing, advertising, design, digital, web, traditional print, traditional marketing, all of kind of that realm of work. And on the Talimer side, we're doing marketing and creative as well as a deep dive into tech. And so, what over the course of the 20 years that I've been in business, one thing I've found is every time I get a resume, and probably less now than it was in the early days, but all of these resumes are really similar. Everybody's baked with the same ingredients based on the job they're looking for, right? So if you're a
Mhm.
graphic designer, there's some minimum qualifications you have to have in order to qualify for that job. I thought, and I received a resume that inspired me, and it had this opening paragraph that was like super discerning, and it was really strongly worded about what that candidate was looking for, and
Mm.
didn't have any information about like bullet points about what he did in his roles, just had title, company dates, and some clients he had worked with, and then this really strong opening paragraph. And I thought, oh, how do I get every talent that works with me to give me their version of that really strong opening statement about what it is they want and why they're uniquely qualified, as opposed to highlighting the table stakes. And so, knowing that when you have a wing person, right, a recruiter or somebody who's going to be in your network and hand off your resume, you can tell a deeper story faster, because I'm going to say, hey, clients, this person's qualified. And then there is this one-page resume that's really focused on their frosting, which is their aspirations, their accomplishments, their character, their passions. But that aspirational piece, where they want to be, what they want to be doing, that is the focus. And so, because everybody's baked with the same ingredients, the cake, I ask them to show me their frosting. I have a worksheet, a quick video, and then we do a quick meeting where I talk to them about, who they are on the planet, bigger than just who they are that shows up at work, because how you show up to anything is how you show up to everything.
For
And
sure.
so, yeah, and that has evolved into this cake and frosting framework, and we apply it definitely to the creative industry candidates, because they are able to demonstrate their skills, their
Mhm.
marketing skills, their writing skills, their design skills in that one page sell sheet, if you will. And
Mhm.
on the tech side, most tech resumes, especially with developers, are 2, 3, 4, 8 pages, depending on the software and the work they've done. And so this exercise for them is a little bit more about personality and how they show up to the work, as opposed to being focused on the technical skills. In the tech world, that's paramount. That is bigger than. In the creative industry, some of that more subjective uh,
Mhm.
content is more valuable, because fit with clients, passion for what those clients are doing, that makes a difference. And so that is the crux of the cake and frosting framework, and where C2 has really brought value to clients over the years. Because
Yeah.
when you talk to C2, we're not saying, here's some graphic designers, you figure out who's best. We're presenting you with, here are the 5 most qualified designers as we see them, and they've created something to set themselves apart. So you can really decide, like, ooh, this person really has a passion for what we're doing. Let's talk to them first.
Oh, I love
That's
that.
in a
I love,
nutshell. Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you.
I love how it's just a different way to present the, you know, especially the creative side of someone. That is wonderful, right? So tell us a story of where someone has pushed you, inspired you, that and
Mhm.
told you could do it, and the impact that had on where you are today.
I, again, I've been surrounded by those folks my entire career. I think for me, if I had to, I don't have a story. I have many stories. And I think what that means is I have very few personal boundaries. And so I am always kind of emoting at work, right?
Hmm.
So if I have insecurities, or I have fears, or I have uh, whatever those emotions are at work, generally I'm also empowering the people around me to emote similarly and bring their full self to work.
Hmm.
Um, I have uh, always been, either I've surrounded myself with intentionally, or the universe has provided people who recognize some of the value I bring that I downplay, because Wisconsin modest, that's a thing,
For
um,
sure.
and have always pushed me to, like, lean into those strengths and try to pull some of the things off my plate that are not strengths for me. And so, oh, I do have a good story. So in my
Good.
business,
Love.
we were hiring a somebody who could support me and support talent, more like an account manager. But we decided to write the job description the way it really was. And so the job description was all about managing up, um, helping to create some process that pulled things off of my plate, but played to my strengths and allowed me to more quickly provide the kind of feedback to talent and get in front of talent. And that was transformative, both for my team, who was just so frustrated, being like, Erica, get me this thing, because they had one wrangler who knew at the outset they were going to be a wrangler. And so that, I think, giving us ourselves permission to tell the truth about where my strengths and weaknesses laid and
Mhm.
who needed to be there to support me, that was also transformative for the business.
Oh, I bet. And kudos to you for recognizing that, because so often I talk to business owners, and uh, they don't recognize it within themselves and work from their strengths. They're trying to be all things to all people. So I love the fact that you have shared that with us. So what's
Oh
your
yeah.
big learning as a business, your biggest learning as a business owner?
So when we first started the business, I had lunch with a gentleman who was a score coach, and he was a part-time CFO as well. Um, he said to my operations manager, Mary Fromm, and I, um, 2 things: uh, hire slowly, fire quickly, which
Hmm.
has resonated with me my entire career, and cash flow is king. And so I think between those 2 messages, those have always been threads that I have carried through my entire career. As, are those things being managed? And when I have doubts about a talent, it gives me the confidence, like, okay, trust your gut. Let's let's just not fool around with this. And I am the kind of employer who will give 20 chances.
Hmm.
And so to have heard that early in the business, and to have it borne out, like, in a positive way, I think that's the other piece that I've learned that's been super interesting to me. Is I love to collect people. I see the good in everyone. And when we've let people go and I've been devastated, we have
Hmm.
always found somebody who not only maybe fills the role, but is different enough to really take it to the next level.
Yep.
And that has always been illuminating, and it just continues to happen. And so it really does reinforce that hire slowly, fire quickly, because vetting those candidates is crazy important. But knowing when they're no longer serving you is also as
Right.
important.
And right. And part of that is what it takes and how much it costs a business
Oh,
to
absolutely.
hang on to somebody who isn't working, right? So
Right.
so what's been your biggest challenge during the years, and who was or is a fellow business owner or colleague who helped you get through that?
Uh, that is such a good question. And again, it's really hard to answer with just one name. Um, I think Dwayne Maas from MC Services,
Hmm.
who has been somewhat of a mentor to me. He has always been a good shoulder. We have He and I both have training businesses, so they're an Apple authorized training center, and we for a very long time have been an Adobe authorized training center. Adobe just wrapped up that training program, but I mean, probably 18 of the last 20 years we've been an authorized training center, and so Dwayne and I have collaborated, and he has told me stories about his own hiring and his own business. And because we have that similar piece, he's engaged our trainers. We've referred folks over to him. So that has been a really lovely synergistic relationship.
Hmm.
Um, but I tell people all the time, the MMAC had these network forum lunches, which were every
Right.
other week, same pool of business people. I cannot tell you how many of those people I still am tight with. Dave Stam and Linda Crawford and Mary Edwards, and the list goes on. Um, it just that was because that was early in my career. I was just an employee of Mac Pros when I started, and then
Hmm.
I bought the company. And then I did join a couple of CEO roundtables also, and some of those folks were transformative. Bob Grether, uh, rest in peace, was really like super supportive and really thought, we could take the business really far with, he was so progressive. He was like, you got to do online training. Um, and, those folks in that CEO roundtable were also, I think, for me, they were good reinforcers or told scary tales of things I should avoid, whether I had started those things or not.
Yeah.
So I think it takes a village, and my village has much of it has come from the creative industry. Those professional events like Business Marketing Association also was on the board, met all those leaders, AIGA, which is American Institute of Graphic Arts. Those leaders, I was on some of those boards. I think I have just been incredibly privileged to sit in groups with other business leaders and other business owners and be privy to some of their challenges, some of their successes, and be able to just glean lessons from those, in addition to flat out being able to ask questions directly
Hmm.
about growth and challenges. So
Well,
that's
the
a
nice
long
thing.
answer.
That's okay. We love that, because there are business owners out there who could totally relate. The other piece of this, right, is that you're open to the learning, for one, and also it's really important that, uh, even though that people are there to mentor you, it's also nice to see that you're not alone, and there are people
Hmm.
out there who can help you, but if they're having the same issues you are, so you're not alone and it's not unique to you as well. So I think that is so very important too.
Yeah.
So if you had to pick three people in your business owner journey, and it can be any three, that you're most grateful for being there for your business growth, who are they?
Mary Fromm, who was my VP of operations for 16, 17, 18, 19 years, somewhere in there, almost the entirety of owning the business. Um, Probably Jim Simon, who was also part of the business as a logistics coordinator, but he was the guy who always said, no, how are you possibly going to do that? And forced me into like, I'd have these grandiose ideas, and he'd be like, "Nope, how are you gonna do that? How are you gonna pull that off?" And I'd be like, "Oh, I don't know," but it would force me into like figuring things out.
Right.
Um, and yeah, Mary was. Used to say that she printed the money. She was doing all the kind of back office, the stuff I just, even if I wanted to do it, it was not a good use of. I don't have the skills to do it, and it was not good use of my time.
Right.
Um, and I would say, gosh, there are that third spot. It's so many. I'm gonna say Ken Osterman, who's my business partner at Talimer now. Um, he is very marketing and operationally focused. He just comes at everything with probably he's a good yin to my yang in terms of just seeing things from a completely different perspective, but
Mhm.
then talking about operationalizing the things that we're doing and trying to make sure that we're monetizing in the right way, that people are the systems are in place that facilitate our growth. He is just pretty single-minded focus on that, and it is fabulous because it is not a skill I bring to the table, at
Excellent.
least not
So,
naturally.
right. Well, it sounds like you really surrounded yourself with people who have different strengths than you, so you can have sort of a well-rounded company. Awesome. So, what's the next big thing for you in your business, especially as you're thinking the next 1 to 3 years? And what's your one area of growth opportunity?
Mm, personally or professional growth?
Let's do professional.
Okay. 1 to 3 years. Talimer is continues to be small, and we have not really scratched the surface of what that marketplace could look like. We have done a nice job of building a good roster of talent, building some relationships with clients, getting the name out, doing social, like doing brand, uh, getting some brand recognition out, and helping people understand who we are and what we do. I think in the next 1 to 3 years, we want to scale to the point that we can actually be a challenger brand to an Upwork or a Fiverr, who are, just huge national organizations. And that will take finding the right partners, both from a recruiting side and from a adding resources like um, health insurance and banking that's focused on freelancers and consultants, being able to build a platform that is unique and has these unique opportunities for freelancers that those other platforms don't have, because people right now are paying 15% back to Upwork in order to get the job, and they have to pay to have access to jobs. There's just a lot of vulnerability of the already most vulnerable person in that triad, right? The marketplace has some stability, the employers have some stability, or the companies, but that freelancer is depending on both of those things for their livelihood. And yet it is a freelancer who's paying to participate. And I just think there's got to be a better way. So we're
Good.
going to build that out in the next 1 to 3 years in a more meaningful way than we have. And then so that actually kind of covers both the areas of growth opportunity. And I think that as freelancing is continuing, right, especially as people are being pulled back into the office after years of remote work, people are saying, like, oh, maybe I'll just do this for myself and pick up some contracts. And so I think that's an area of opportunity for us, is to continue to pursue those industries, those individuals for whom the traditional way of work is not working for them, and do our best to help them move into a freelance or a consulting type of role, long-term contract, and then also serve underrepresented talent in both the tech and creative industries, so that they have both an advocate and somebody who has access to opportunities, and help make sure that they're making that connection, they're building that network, so that they can also, if they want to transition into freelance or consulting work, have a home.
Awesome. So as you're, what a great future you have. So as you're thinking about that and moving into those spaces, what do you think your biggest challenge will be over the next 1 to 3 years?
Hmm. I think the economy and the stability of the economy is a challenge. We do well in both an up economy and a down economy because when clients are letting their, marketing department go, they still need the marketing work. And
Mm-hmm.
so we're a resource. Um, and when there's an up economy and they just need more resources, we're also a great resource. That said, um, there has been a lot of uncertainty around what's happening. And so people are sitting, right? They'll be like, we know we need this. Please go find us talent. And then when it comes to pulling that trigger to hire, crickets. We're like, oh. So I think for us, um, I think trying to one identify clients in industries where there's a little more stability and security for us to be able to target so there's less of that for our
Right.
talent because it's really frustrating when you apply for a job, you go to an interview, things are going well, and then there's just we respond, but we're responding with, yeah, the client just hasn't responded to us yet. So I think that is an opportunity for us. That's also a challenge for us.
Right.
We have some strategies to meet that challenge, but I think that is prevalent is how people are working with staffing firms, marketplaces. I think we're continuing to watch that evolution and looking to make sure we're positioned in the right place in order to avoid some of the pitfalls that some organizations
Right.
have had in the space.
Excellent. So, what advice do you have for business owners who are trying to do this all on their own?
Oh, don't. Don't do it on your own. I you know, I I could so when my brother and I sat down and we decided to um like I said, do you want to do this? Do you want to own see like should we buy Mac Pros? And he was like, I don't want to do any like back office work. And I was like, I'm not going to do payroll, do taxes. I had been and doing it poorly at Mac Pros. I knew it wasn't going to be sustainable long term. And I think we sat down with a business coach at the time, Wendy Fritz, who was also, I think I met through the MMAC. She was fabulous. And she sat down and did some personality testing with us and kind of gave
Mhm.
us some like, hey, these are where the rough places are. Here's where the synergy is between the two of you as business partners, and reinforced to us that we lacked some serious skills on the operational and administrative sides and said, I would not recommend you moving forward without support in these areas. And so we got an accountant, we got a lawyer, we got an operations manager, and then already had some team, already had some people out for placements because it was an existing business. But we really allowed anyone we hired to play to their strengths and
Mhm.
make recommendations and own their job. And as a recovering micromanager, that was pretty easy for me on the at least on the training side. My brother owned that. I wasn't getting my nose in there. And on the operations and admin side, I wasn't. I just said, I trust your judgment. Do what you got to do. I might have an idea or two because I'm intrinsically, let's say lazy. It's not the right word, but it's funnier that way. Um, I tend to take as many shortcuts as I can, and in some ways, they're a little ingenious and helpful. And so I would pipe in occasionally, and I would either get like, "Nope, here's why that doesn't work," or "Oh, that might make things easier." So,
Excellent. Well, Erica, it sounds like you've been really blessed with incredible people who've helped you on your journey. What would you like to say to them?
oh my goodness, I really don't want to cry in our interview. Um, I just am I am grateful to have a fabulous community of people who seem to genuinely care, right?
Mm.
I know that I put that into my work and my relationships as a colleague, as a friend, as a business partner, as a vendor, as a supplier, as as a participant in some of the professional organizations, but to have gotten it back in such volume and so consistently has been, I would say, all the professional organizations that serve the creative and tech industries in Milwaukee. Um, I think the MMAC for sure has been a terrific partner. The individuals that I've worked with over the years there, Barb and Jane, Carrie, all of them have been incredible. Um, there are just so many. Um, yeah, I can't even. Oh, Shelby, our Shelby Klein, Simply Balanced Accounting, has saved us so many times from, and I don't know about save, that might not be the right word. She has added value in ways that are so quantifiable based on her knowledge and her understanding of our business, which it took a while to get there, but she built like a custom calculator for us that helped us with our margins. I mean, she has been an asset from a supplier partner standpoint for years. I'm so grateful for her. Yeah, getting the right kind of partners has been critical, and I'm you know grateful for those both that are friendly and services. So
Excellent. Well, Erica, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you so much for being on the show.
you're welcome, Jackie. Thank you for having me.